everyone, it's Cindy again. Thank you for stopping back by my channel. I really appreciate your being here. I'm really happy to have all the new subscribers along, so thank you for that. This is going to be a tutorial, my first tutorial here on YouTube, on how to do some of these bead embroidery stitches that you see here on these earrings. I haven't done them in a while, so it'll be interesting to get back in. I really enjoy it. It's a very zen-like process for me. And of course, Milkshake is joining us again today, as she always does. You'll hear her. Hopefully you won't see her face or her paw in the midst of my creating. In order to do... she just tried to jump up on the table and fell down. Okay, in order to do this project, in order to do the bead embroidery, you're going to need this Fireline wire. It's not wire, it's actually a thread. It's a coated thread. You can find this in the fishing section of Walmart, actually, which is where I got this from, and I think that that's the most inexpensive place I've been able to find that. You're also going to need some beading needles, and I will get out mine here and show you the different kinds. I've used those, and I've also used, well, the John James are probably the best ones. I also have these Doris needles, too, that I think I found at a estate sale, but I'll use these. I use size 10, 13, because that seems to fit through most of the things that I'm using them for. So you're going to need the beading needles, you're going to need the Fireline, you're going to need, you might want some focal beads, like this, which are just bigger beads. You're going to need seed beads. These are seed bead size 6-0. At least that's what I have written on the bag. So I have a whole bag full of the larger beads. And then the I think that the size goes, the bigger the number, the smaller the bead. And these are 10-0 beads, and I have several of those in different colors. So you're going to need those. Those are what you're going to really be using for this particular project. So now that we have that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Of course, there's always something that I forget. You're also going to need a piece of stiffened felt. If you get involved in bead embroidery and you really enjoy it and you're going to continue on doing it, you can get something called, is it Lacey's Stiff Stuff? I'm trying to think. I don't know. If I remember to, and sometimes I forget, I'll put it below. But it's very expensive, and it's essentially the same thing. It's just a little bit thinner. I've also tried using Interface that you would buy in the fabric store, and that seems to work out real well too, and you can get that real thin also. So you're going to need that. And then what I do is and I'm going to sit, the way my setup is for videoing, guys, I have to sit down, so I have to keep sitting and standing to see what's going on. But what I would do is I would take, and let's say I want to make an earring similar to the ones that I made over there with the, for St. Patrick's Day. I'm going to take a cap here, and I'm going to just trace around that like that. I'm going to cut that out. Just cut around my circle. I'm not too concerned about the ink because I'm going to put, when I finish it, I'm not going to do it for you guys. I think if you watched my video on the earrings and the earrings that I made for St. Patrick's Day and the bracelet, I told you that every time I do this blanket stitch here around the outside to finish off a piece, I always have to go back and relearn how to do it. So I'm not going to teach that to you today because I would not be able to do it. But I would take a piece like this, then I would determine what my focal bead is going to be. In this case, I'm going to use one of these pretty blue ones. And I might do that like that. This is probably, I think I did the earrings similar size, but that I showed you before. And then I'm going to get, actually I have a couple of my needles already threaded, so for the sake of time, I'm going to use one of those. But I would thread my needle. Threading at my certain age might take a while too, so it's a good thing I already have one threaded. Alright, so you want to go ahead, and I saw a video one time on YouTube, because if I mentioned this before, I watch lots of YouTube videos of a really cool way to make knots in your thread. It was by somebody who does embroidery, and one of these days I'm going to practice it. She wraps it around her needle and slides it down and makes this knot. But since that's not the way I normally do it, I'm going to do it this way. And let me make sure I'm on. I am. Okay. So what I do is I come up from underneath. You know, and this might seem pretty, oh, well, you got to watch out for that too. Apparently my bead does not have a hole on the other side, so I'm going to pick another bead. Let's make sure it has a hole on both sides. Okay, it does. This is very forgiving. Of course, if I were going to do this as a set of earrings, I would want to make sure that I have two of the same focal bead. But I'm going to pull that through there like that, go down, and I'm going to do this a few different times because I want to make sure that I have a nice thick thread going through here to support this heavy bead. You don't want it falling off after doing, you know, all the work on this. You know, you don't want your bead falling off. So 2 times there is probably pretty good. Now let's pull this through. I mean 3 times. I do it 3 times. So I've got that. Now I've got these beads here that I found. I think I got these at an estate sale. Hopefully I didn't pass it over too quickly and you got to see them, but they're gold round beads. Let's take out a couple of these, because what happens is after I do this, as you can tell, now you can see this end here, and I don't like that. So I'm going to take, and I'm going to come up through the bottom here. Again, so this is going to be another time. And I'm going to come through the end of my bead like this, and I'm not going to go through the felt. I'm going to pick up one of these beads like that, and then I'm going to go back through the bead like that, and that secures that bead onto the end of that. And I'm going to do it again on the other side. So I'm going to pick up, I don't know if you can see those up there, I'll put it here. I'm going to pick up that bead like that, and then I'm going to go back through this. Now, since I've already got this on the other side, I'm going to pull that to the side of that bead like that, and I'm going to put it down through the felt like that. So now I've got a bead that's attached. It has, you can't see through the hole in it. I have to look up every once in a while and make sure that I'm filming properly. And I apologize, somehow my camera got a little skewed. Alright, so I've got that going on. Now I'm running out of thread here, so I'm going to do a couple of things real quickly. Let me pause this so I can get different beads out. Alright, I'm back. I've set up my little space here with my beads. These beads are 10 OC beads. This, I have no idea what size that is. This is a Gary Berlin and Company bottle of beads, and all it says is beads. But this had the color of the bead that we're looking at. I don't usually work in these colors, so now I have to use what I have on hand just to make it look interesting. Otherwise, you'd be getting colors that weren't. these are 11O seed beads from the Potomac Bead Company. We used to have this store in a city not too far away from me, and they went out of business, so I got a lot of this stuff half price. But I'll tell you what, it was expensive even half price. Because you buy a bunch of these, you're going to use a lot of these little seed beads, and it was $2.69 was the regular price on these 11O seed beads. Anyway, so that's what we're going to use today. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to show you how to make some of these little elements that I was using in that other project. Let me move this up so I know where it goes. Okay. All right, so I have my thread like this, and I'm just going to come out like this. One of the stitches, sorry I got quiet there for a minute, I was trying to find my word, that you're going to use a lot in bead embroidery is a basic, I don't even know what they call it, but I'm going to take 3 seed beads. I'm going to outline this bead. So I'm going to take 3 seed beads, I'm going to pull them down like that. I'm going to come back through 2 of these. Let's see if I'm on camera, sorry. I'm going to come back through 2 of them, like that. Oops, well, I didn't mean to do that. So that's not what you do. Okay, all right, so I got that. Then I'm going to attach them by going through the thing. Told you it takes me a minute. I haven't done this in a while, so I have to come through here and teach myself how to do this while I'm teaching you. Yeah. You ever take a class from me, by the way? I don't do this in my classes. I do lesson plans. I do everything. Okay, so if you saw what I just did, I tacked those down. I threaded the 3. I went through the fabric. I came back up, but I came back up between. Let's get on camera here. Sorry about that. I'm telling you, I have to stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. I came up through this area here on the felt with my thread. Now what I'm going to do, I can stand to do this so I can see it, is I'm going to go back through those 2 like that. And I'm going to pull my needle through. And then I'm going to go back. Well, actually I can add my other things, but see how that tightens that up? Alright, so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to pick up, well, this is fun. Alright guys, so I've told you this before that I can't see. So if I put my glasses on so that I can see the video thing and to see up close, then when I try to do this from a distance, I can't see the distance. So I picked up 3 more beads like that. And I'm going to come back down here and put that on camera. I'm going to put my needle at the end of them like this. Put my needle down. Okay, I'm basically making an outline. They might even call this the outline stitch. I would have to really look to see. Then I'm going to put my needle back up on the other side of the thread, but between the 2nd and the 3rd bead that I just put on there. Then I'm going to put my needle through the 2nd and the 3rd beads like that. Okay, so it's going through those beads. And then I'm going to pull through like that. And now I see how I'm getting a line. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, finish that line since I showed, well, I'll do one more because you might not have gotten it that fast. So I did that. I'm going to put 3 more, if I can see them, beads on my needle. Okay. Like that. I'm probably going to have to add more thread too in a minute. Then I'm going to come down alongside of them next to that other bead. Let's pull that up there. Focus. Okay. And pull that down. Tighten that up. Then I'm going to bring my needle up between the second and the third of the ones that I just did on the outside. And then I'm going to put it back through the last two, the second and the third. See that? Pull it through, tighten that up, and then I'll keep going around. So I'm going to outline that whole bead and then I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back and making coffee, so I don't know if you can hear that in the background. And I stitched most of the way around using that stitch. And when I got here to the end, I decided to hold off because I just wanted to show you that you're not married to the 3 bead thing. There's really only enough room for 1 or 2 beads here. I put one on my thing and I'm going to see if that does it. Yep, that's probably enough to fill that space. So I put that on there. I'm going to come down right there. You know, if I could see, it would be such a fascinating and wonderful thing. Now, see how this is kind of tilted away from this one? When I go through here, and I only did the 1 bead, I'm going to come up through right in front of that bead. And then instead of going through, well, not instead of, I'm still going to go through 2, but I'm going to go through the one that was already there. So see how I've got it going through 2. And then by doing that, I'm going to go back down to the bottom. By doing that, you'll see that I've made it so that it doesn't stick out anymore. Okay, so now I have that all the way around there. So I did this to, again, remind myself how to do it. This is my favorite stitch, and this is what I used, variations of it all over the earrings that I did, that I showed you. This is a fringe trim, so I'm going to show you that next, and I'm hoping that I changed my setup so I can see in the camera, but I can't see because I'm blind, so that'll be interesting. But I'm going to show you this and the variations of that. So I'm underneath now with my thread, sorry about that, underneath here. This is kind of a free-form thing, you guys, so you can do this anywhere on your piece. So I'm going to pull my needle up through there, and let's just I'm going to do some more of these purple ones just to make it easy for you to see. So I'm going to count 15 of these purple ones onto my needle. 2, 3, why 15? Just because that's what I did before. How many is that? 3. It's not an exact science. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So I have 15 on my needle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull them down like that. Now, whenever you've got beads, first of all, let me show you a couple of different things to make this easy and quick. You saw, maybe you saw, on here, I told you in probably the other video, so I'll tell you again. Along the side of this big focal bead that I stitched down, I put these loops just next to it. To make a loop, instead of making the fringe like I'm going to, it's kind of like an arch, I would just take this and then I could put my needle back down through wherever I want that loop to go and then pull it down through, and that would make that loop. I don't want to do that because I'm going to teach you this other thing, but that's something really easy that you can do with that. If I wanted to just make this a straight thing, which I probably would make a shorter one, And by that I mean, for instance, let's see if I can find one. There's quite a few in here. Most of these are the other ones I'm going to show you though. But let's see if I just wanted, oh, that's another one. This little guy right here is just a series of 3 instead of 15, and then we're going to, you can take it back down all the way to the bottom and have it just stick out. So whenever we're going to do any one of those kinds of stitches, we're going to have them stick off the backing. You want to skip the first bead. It's going to be like your anchor bead, and you're going to put your needle in starting at the next. If I wanted to just leave that as a standalone little thing jutting out, I would take it through all of the beads all the way down to the felt and back out through the other side. But I'm going to make one of those fringe elements with the little branches off of it. So I'm going to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beads right there with my needle. And I'm going to come out, and I have to hold my beads here at the end with my fingers as I'm doing it. And then what I usually wind up doing is, see, you've got that extra thread. I come in here and you hold that anchor bead as you pull your thread, and that'll tighten that up. Okay, so I'm down through 5, and then my thread comes off the side of those beads like that. Okay, hopefully this is focusing well. So now I'm going to grab another 5 beads of these purple ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, I'm going to put that there. And I'm going to pull those all the way down like that. Okay, you can kind of see it looks like a little T. I could leave it like that, by the way, when I'm finished with this, but I'm going to make another one even for you to see. So in order to go back down through this, so that the beads don't fall off, I have to skip the first bead, and I'm going to take my needle down through the next 4 until I get back to the main stem of this little fringe element. So I pull that through, I hold on to the what do I call that? It's a stopper bead, but there was something else I just called that. Okay, and I pull that so that that's tight. Okay. So this is my main piece right here. I have where I went all the way to the end, that's the rest of it, and then this is my stalk. Okay, so I made a straight stalk there. Now I have to enter back in at the same place that I came off. That's why sometimes it's helpful if you do count the number of beads that you go out of. But I'm going to come back in here at the point where this thing comes out. Well, that might be easier said than done. I told you I'm blind. Alright, so I come in here. Hello. It's much easier to do when I'm not trying to film it. Hello. Come on. Okay, so now I'm through there. I'm going to come down right there. That's, oh, shucks. I have to set it down. This is how I normally do it, is down. You have to do it the way I do it. Okay, so 1, 2, I'm going to go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 beads. Okay, now I'll pull it back up for you. So I'm down 4. So I'm going to go down the main stalk towards the base through 4 beads. And so now my string comes out. And this time I'm going to add 7 beads. 1, 2, and guys, this is not a science. I told you this before. You can play around with the numbers that you want to use. You don't have to do it exactly like me. 4, 5, 6, 7. It's not a science, which is part of the reason why I love it. All right, so put that there. I'm going to pull that back down to there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little stalk, kind of like we did here on my branch. So I have to leave the first bead out. I'm going to come in 3, 2, 3, well, maybe 4. I'll come in 4. Got to go through all of them. There we go. Okay. And pull that, hold on my stopper bead, come down there. And on that same little stalk that's going off of that thing, the main branch, I'm going to add, let's say, another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Then, how come I pull? Oh, there it is. I'm like, I know I pulled 4. Okay, so I have my 4 beads. I have to go in below the first one, so I move that out of the way so I don't forget. And I'm going to come in through those other 3. I don't go, see how my needle wanted to go into that one on the main stalk? I don't want to do that. So you have to always make sure you're only going through the ones that are on the little piece you're working on. So in order to tighten that up, I grab a hold of the stopper bead and I pull like that. All right. So now where do I go from here? I'm working on this branch. So I have to go back in through the other pieces of that branch until I get to the main piece of the branch, which is this thing right here. So I did that. I'm coming back through there. Now I have to re-enter the main branch where I came off of it. So that's going to be right there. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to go through all of the beads to the bottom, like that. And what I would do normally is I would just then go straight through the bottom. I just wanted you to see coming all the way out to the bottom. And there's my little stalk, my little fringe. Now, I can do a variety of these. Like I said, I could do, let's do one here. Let's do a straight one. Let's just do one that goes, let's do a white one. And I'm going to do, let's say, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to pull that down. And on this one, I'm not going to get tied into that other one. I'm going to skip that first bead. I'm going to go through the other 4. And I'm going to go back through the bottom like that. And notice what I'm doing, my thread, the end of my thread didn't go through, so I just had to pull that out. All right, so now I have a little shorter one, and that's what I was telling you about before. So I can keep adding these all over here until I have what I like, you know, until I have this all full. Now, if I were doing this again, I did this for you guys so you could see how, you know, to do this. I probably wouldn't make this so big because look at how it's coming over there. But if I add more things, I can probably get it to change direction so that it goes off the side and becomes a little bit nicer. Now, these are smaller beads, and I don't know, 3, 4, it looks like my needle will work with them. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I just threw some. Alright, so there I've got that. Those 10 are just a little bit taller than my 5 of the other ones because they're smaller. But let's add a few more so that I can make a little branch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So let's make a little branch there. And again, my string got caught. Pull that out. Some more. Okay. So I'm going to go, I need to use my anchor bead, that's the word I was looking for. I'm going to use my anchor bead and I'm going to come in through how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 6. 7 with my anchor bead. Alright, so I use the anchor bead to adjust. I hold that and pull. And now I'm going to add just maybe 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So I have 5 beads there. Pull those down. Then I'm going to skip that first one. I'm going to go through the other 4. I could see I'd be dangerous. Okay, back to the stalk, main branch, whatever you want to call it. And I always have to pull that anchor bead. So you get a nice, oops, pull that, good. All right, so I'm back at the center. This is going to wind up being like a T-shaped one. So I'm back where I started. You can see that. This is what's going down. I'm going to re-enter right there. Oh, this is so difficult, you guys. This is not how I normally do this. Holding it up in the air like this. All right, so let's go. There we go. I think I probably need to break down and get stronger reading glasses too. All right, so there's that. Oh, I could have gone straight through. I just did that. So I'm going to go back down there. So now I have a bit of a smaller little stalk. So I can keep adding these all the way around in different forms until I get to the end. Let me show you. I'm going to show you something else that I can do. I'm going to take back out these big gold or these bigger golden beads. Because basically the whole idea of that anchor bead, if I did just one bead, let's say I wanted to add this gold bead in here and just, probably won't see it when this is all filled up, but let's say, sorry about that, let's say I put that right there, and I come in here, and I pick up this gold bead, okay, like that, and the anchor bead is basically the same idea. I'm just going to go back down like that, and now I have a bead on there. So you can add one bead, you can add 10 beads, you can add this bead with the like a Y shape or a T, you can add the fringe that reminds me of seaweed. So you have all of these options, and then of course that outlining stitch that I showed you first. And then in the end, after you fill all of that up, you'll get a piece, you know, that looks like this just by adding all that stuff. And then you can finish it. You can look up how to finish it with this, because I am probably not going to do a tutorial for a while anyway on this. But this is a blanket stitch with picots in it around the outside edge. Or you can just leave it as is. If your color is, if you use a backing color that's like that, you can actually just use an embroidery stitch and go around the outside. That would close that off real nice since you're going to put them together. And this would make a nice brooch. So, and then these fringes too, by the way, guys, if you added these to the end of your piece and hanging off, that would be really cool too, and you could make them a variety of lengths and whatever at the end of your piece. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. The tutorial things, especially with this close-up beadwork, this is a learning thing for me as well, so I appreciate that you hung in there with me. I hope you were able to glean something from that. When I learned how to do the bead embroidery, I did watch videos on YouTube. One woman stands out in my mind that I watched a lot of videos, and her name was Ann Benson. So if you look for Ann Benson on YouTube, you'll find a whole bunch of different tutorials on how to do bead embroidery from her. So thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for subscribing, guys. Have a great day. Bye.